Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is Inside Man United, and my name is Rowan Brennan. And what a action-packed weekend we had. It seems the good times are back for now with regards to how United are playing. What a performance from Diogo Dalot, having an absolute barn burner every game with an exceptional block. Garnacho with a brace, announcing himself more than he already has. Kobbie Mainoo having a great game despite coming off in the 70th minute for Scott McTominay. And Højlund really seems to have got his shooting boots on now. That's 4-4. And he's really looking to he's really starting to look like a guy who's starting to get used to the environment around him and coming onto the pitch maybe expecting to score now instead of hoping he scores. And there seems to be a lot more fluidity and connectivity up in that front line, and it's great to see. Of course, bad news with Lisandro Martinez, and we have an update on that as well. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the headlines. We have loads to talk about. The headlines today on Inside Man United. United to offer breakthrough star bumper new deal to fend off interest from England and overseas. While the January transfer window was closed for the Premier League, not the case for Turkey. Could they be circling a deal for Christian Eriksen? David Ornstein provides an update on the rumours of Paul Mitchell to Manchester United. And Raphael Varane holds clear the air talks with Ten Hag after apparent bust-up. And finally, a diagnosis for Lisandro Martinez on how serious the injury is and when we can expect to see him back. All that coming up. So before we kick off into the headlines, there's a bit of momentum behind the club now with what is it? 7 goals in our last 2 games. Yes, one of the games was against Newport. And, you know, I wasn't all that surprised and I was happy to see Raphael Varane be dropped. I thought he played very poorly against Newport, but there does seem to be something about Varane and Martinez when they combine. They do make each other better, and Martinez certainly makes Varane better. I think Martinez will be consistent regardless, but Martinez seems to bring something out in Varane, and the two of them play very well together. Varane with Martinez is not the same Varane with Lindelof or Maguire or even Johnny Evans. Such is the impact and calmness that Martinez can bring to a backline. But it was good to see him back in beside Martinez, and we were kind of looking forward to seeing that pairing for the rest of the season. Obviously Martinez got that stupid avoidable injury with, you know, Kufal just being a donkey and just, you know, holding on to him when he should have let go, and it just put unnecessary pressure on the outside of the knee. But listen, it's football, these things happen. But there seems to be a little bit of momentum behind United now, and at least the young lads are starting to step up where the kind of elder statesmen couldn't. And it's kind of funny where United for so long have been trying to throw money at the problems that they've had, and, you know, little did we know that the solutions were lurking in the youth academy in the form of Kobbie Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho, and now with Højlund in there, obviously 72 million, a very expensive addition to the squad, but still a young lad and certainly one for the future, and we definitely overpaid for him. But it seems those three are really starting to sing and find, you know, a real relationship and connection with one another. And, you know, that's, you know, it's something we haven't been able to buy for the best part of a decade, but we've been able to grow it within our own walls, it would seem, and then obviously bringing in Højlund there, you know, to complement that. So it's a great thing to see. And, you know, 2 other academy players seem to be kind of maybe fading into the distance a little bit, with Marcus Rashford, despite his goal against Newport, just not really impressing since he's been on. He looks a little bit more enthused than he has in games past, but my opinion on Rashford hasn't changed. And you see Scott McTominay now kind of becoming an impact sub, coming on later in games and causing havoc, which is what he's good at. I don't think he's a good player to start with. But two academy players themselves now seeming to take a step backwards into the background, while Garnacho starts to shine. Kobbie Mainoo starts to come to the fore as well. Now, listen, Garnacho is going to start on the right. Now, would he stay on the right and Rashford on the left? Only time will tell after the summer. Perhaps Garnacho will be better off on the left and we buy someone else on the right-hand side. I think Rashford could be in trouble. And you know, it's words that we're going to get into from Garnacho later on, when they're asking what's your best position, where do you like to play, where are you happiest on the where are you happiest to play, and his response was being on the pitch. And that's exactly what you want to hear. Not, I want to be on the left. My best position's through the centre. I want to be here, there, or wherever. He just wants to play. Ronaldo said the exact same thing. Good footballers will find a way to impact the game no matter where they're playing from. And that's what I like to hear from someone like Garnacho. No airs or graces. No, I need to be played here. Just get me on the pitch and I'll do my stuff. And, you know, we're finally starting to see him provide the performances from the first whistle as we did when he was coming on as a substitute, and not a minute too soon. But it's great to see the lads firing. I think there's a bit of a feel-good factor back at United, especially with so many young, bright lights starting to shine within that squad. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what these guys can do between now and the end of the season. Hopefully they stay fit, they stay strong, and carry this kind of this form through to the end of the season and hopefully into the next. But we have a ton of news to get through, so without further ado, let's get into the news. So we kick off on Team Talk, and they are reporting with Steve Pearson on a new deal for Kobbie Mainoo. Now, if ever there was a photograph that encapsulated the weekend, but United's kind of turn of form this year, and this to me will be the photo of the season, regardless of what happens, even more so than a still of Garnacho's bicycle kick. I just love this photo. It has everything you need for a fan to see. The future, smiles, connectivity, community, togetherness. It's a sight to behold. It's a really nice thing to see, and you know, long may it continue to flourish. But yeah, as a result of Kobbie Mainoo's continued growth and excellence in United's midfield, it looks like they're looking to tie him down to a new bumper contract. Excuse me. So yeah, it was in his contract that once he made over 12 senior appearances, he would get bumped up to 20 grand per week, which is still kind of small potatoes for a man of his talent, despite only having come through the youth system. So that happened, you know, after 12 matches. I think he's hit the 18 match mark now at this stage. So yeah, there's talk of a new deal. So according to the Daily Mail, United plan to offer Mainoo a new and improved deal that will better reflect his growing importance to the team. I think that's fairly clear. And what's more, according to a report from Continental Europe, the bumper new terms may be a necessity if United to fend off growing transfer interest in the player. Listen, there's going to be lots of interest. United aren't going to sell him. He doesn't want to leave. He's a local boy. He's come through the youth system. I don't see him leaving. He wants to do well at this club, and I think he's going to be the type of player who will have to be ripped from our grasp, to be honest. But fair is fair. You can't expect loyalty to keep a player at the club. You need to give him fair value for what he's worth, what he contributes. So firstly here, Goals Live Transfer Blog brought news as of yet unnamed sides in La Liga and the Premier League who are monitoring Mainoo. Yeah, good luck with that, lads. So from United's perspective, losing a homegrown star could be the cornerstone of their midfield for years to come is unthinkable, obviously, and as such, Goals report and the Daily Mail claim talks over a new deal are primed to take place. So yeah, it'll be great to have him tied down on a deal that reflects his value to the team. You need to feel valued. You don't want to feel like you're overperforming and being underpaid. So yeah, I think that's a smart move from the club, and it should be done as soon as possible. And with Rio Ferdinand comparing him to Clarence Seedorf, so for any of you who are too young to remember potentially who Clarence Seedorf was, he's one of the best midfielders to ever play the game. Dutch midfielder, and was the first player, I believe, to ever win 3 Champions Leagues with 3 different clubs. Ajax back in 94-95, Real Madrid back in 98-99, I believe, and with AC Milan in 03-04. So won them with 3 different teams, 3 different countries over a 10-year period. And Clarence Seedorf is an absolute titan of the game. Well, Rio Ferdinand seems to think that he is a similar player. So he's saying, I'm not saying of the same ability or that he's that player yet, but he gives me Seedorf vibes, whatever that means. The way he maneuvers in tight situations, the way he manipulates the ball and uses his body at time. He shifts it, pops it through legs. Beautiful. He's elusive at times as well, and the control and the awareness to pick a spot. If there's one thing, like my brother and I were watching the game, and he was just like, everything he does is simple. Now, it was like Roy Keane or Michael Carrick and these kind of important midfield players where simple is difficult to do. You know, simple looks simple because it's executed well. Again, it's not flashy, but look how many players don't do the simple thing, don't take the obvious route, don't do the simple things well. He does basics, repetitive, just repeating basics. It's like all things. If you just continue practicing the basics over and over and over again, it's just something that comes naturally to you. And then you can start adding the flair on top. But he just does everything correct. Like when you just see him do something, you're like, yep, that's what he should have done. That's where he should have passed. Because obviously we have an eagle eye view. So you see all the options that a player on the pitch doesn't necessarily see. So you do get the advantage of a kind of a 360 eagle eye view of what's going on. Players don't have that luxury. But even with that view, you're looking at what he should be doing, and he does it. And he does it quick, and he does it in tight spaces, and he can do it under pressure. He can do it when he's got time. It's just good decisions. And top football coaches have said this. They said it particularly about Messi. I can't remember the guy who said it. It was a video I'd watched. And he was like, the difference between really top players and, you know, your average Premier League player. And he was like, it's decision-making and it's awareness. Making the right decision. It's not about having tricks or being really fit or having speed. All those things are beneficial. But what it is, it's decision making, making the right choice in the moment. The intelligent choice. And you look at videos of Messi and other players, great midfielders, before they receive the ball, they look all around them. They know everything that's around them, 180, even 360. And a lot of players don't do that. They're just concentrating on what they're looking at, receiving the ball. Then they might start having a look at what they need to do. The really good players know what they're going to do or where they want to go before they've received the ball. And when they receive the ball, they know where everyone is and they can make a pass without looking. They can lay off a 1-2. They can find space. And again, it allows them a greater range of good decision making. And that's what Kobbie Mainoo does. He makes good decisions. Scholes always did it. Scholes always did his kind of, I always kind of complained about it because I thought it slowed down our play sometimes. When Scholes got the ball, he'd always take it and do a 360. Not like an Anthony 360 where you're just kind of showing off, but he'd take the ball and he'd kind of shield it and then he'd kind of do a 360 around and he would just kind of scan everything that was around him. And I know why he did it. He used to frustrate the shit out of me when I'd watch United because I would just be like, just run with the fucking ball, man. Make a pass. But listen, it's Paul Scholes. Who am I to tell him how to play football? But that's what Kobbie Mainoo does. And it's just a joy to see a kid so young being able to make such mature decisions when on a football pitch. So some players see the headlines there and think, I'm going to go for it, but he just caresses it. And that's it. Seedorf is famously the only player to have won the Champions League with 3 different clubs. Yeah, he did it twice with Milan. I thought there was another player who had since done it, but maybe he still is the only player. So yeah, good comparison to make with one Mr. Clarence Seedorf. And there's the picture. There's the boys. And what a picture that is. Might have to get that framed actually and throw it into the background. By the way, this mirror, I know some people have commented that it makes it look like I've got an afro. Maybe that's why I'm wearing the hat. I can't take that off the wall, and it's the only place that I actually have room to film this. So for anyone that's getting frustrated that this looks like a fro behind me, I do apologize. But there's nothing I can do about it. But I am hoping to get it covered up with some imagery just to kind of at least help it blend into the background a little bit better. So appreciate the patience, guys. Moving swiftly along. So yeah, January transfer window is closed for most leagues, certainly the Premier League, but Turkey are still in the shop window, looking at who they can buy. And it does look like Christian Eriksen is on the menu for the great Turkish side, Galatasaray. They're hoping to push through a transfer for the United midfielder before Friday, according to reports. And yeah, after beating West Ham 3-0, Eriksen had to settle for a place on the bench and was an unused substitute. with Mainoo coming into play now, Mason Mount coming back into fitness, Casemiro now back, Bruno being, the Energizer bunny that he is. That's 5 players for 3 spots, and all of them are viable options to start. Then you throw in McTominay on top of that. We really start to get a lot of congestion. And Eriksen, while a beautiful player and had so much to offer last season, you can see his limitations now in terms of his fitness, and he's not good defensively. He's great as a number 10. I'd hate to see him go, because I think he does provide a really beautiful technical footballer for games that maybe, the team is sitting back and we don't have to defend as much, and we're hoping to unlock a defense, and maybe we'll get 20 minutes of just non-stop possession. He's a great player for that. Same way as McTominay is a good player. He's the right tool for the right job, depending on what you need. Usually if you're chasing a goal. So I'd hate to see him go, but again, he's got his career to think about. United do have a pretty big squad. So Eriksen now attracting interest from Turkish giants Galatasaray, with the winter transfer market still open in Turkey until Friday. So Turkish publication Fotomak claimed that negotiations with United are continuing in great secrecy. Obviously not too secret. As they make Eriksen their main target for the final week of the window. Galatasaray hoping to strike a loan deal until the end of the season, with an option to buy the midfielder in the summer, and he will join the team immediately if United accept the figures being proposed by the Turkish outfit. There's also the possibility that Galatasaray will promise to buy him at the end of the season after earning €35 million from the sales of Sasha Bowie and Cedric Bakambu. Wan-Bissaka, another player that is being linked with a move away. Dharma Sheth from Sky Sports insists that Wan-Bissaka could stay beyond the summer and he can be offered a new contract. We've heard that Wan-Bissaka did have his agent be offered a contract extension, but I think that is just to maintain his transfer value. Diogo Dalot is clearly the preferred right back this season. It was Wan-Bissaka last season, but Dalot has seemed to have answered the calling, despite my criticism of him during the season, where we have conceded an absolute boatload of goals. So let's not rewrite history that Dalot is this, best right back in the league. Okay, he's miles off Trippier and Kyle Walker, but he is useful. He is starting to improve, and he might continue that way once he starts getting even more time in the team. He is dangerous going forward. He made an incredible block against Jared Bowen in the game against West Ham, which was just fantastic to see. So it looks like Diogo Dalot's going to be the main right back. I don't think Wan-Bissaka is going to be happy being a substitute. And it looked like the talks didn't go as well as his agent had expected. So I think that the talk of Wan-Bissaka being sold is very real and could happen. Sheth told Gimme Sport, to me, it looks like the right back area would probably be the 4th priority of those 4 positions. It looks like the other 3 positions are a lot more urgent. Well, that is absolutely true. You could argue against every single central defender that's at the club at the moment, be it a contract situation or whether they've wanted to sell them in the past or not. Whereas the Wan-Bissaka situation is, if they're trying to sort out these other positions and they haven't really got the money to go into the right back area, then it wouldn't surprise me if they start to try and negotiate Wan-Bissaka. Listen, they could keep Wan-Bissaka as a nice backup. They can extend his contract and keep him as backup for Dalot if and when he gets injured or he needs to swap sides, which he's done so often this year. But yeah, I think right back is somewhere they'd like to improve, but there's many more pressing areas. So Christian Eriksen to Galatasaray, what would you guys think of that? Would you be happy for him to continue his career out there? Would you like to see him stay at United? I'd personally like to see him stay, but if he wants more first team opportunities, I would not begrudge him a move over to Turkey to help him further his career and maybe win himself a little bit more silverware overseas. So Erik ten Hag has discovered a new undroppable this season. And surprise, surprise, that player is one Alejandro Garnacho. With a brace on the weekend, I've never been more disappointed after United win, because I had Diogo Dalot, Saka, and Garnacho on my bench in Fanto, and I just played my wild card and brought the 3 of them in, and I was going to start them, and I was like, I think Pedro Neto's going to do something against Chelsea, and Garnacho might have a quiet time. West Ham playing well, even though we're at home, and 30 points on the bench. What an absolute kick in the teeth. But delighted for Garnacho, 2 goals, and it looks like he's now undroppable. There is no way he is an impact sub, a player that's going to be coming off the bench and, trying to find his feet. The kid's found his feet. Yes, he'll have slower games. Yes, he's going to have games where he's not that effective. He's still only young. He's 19 years of age. He is still a baby, and the impact he has had for his tender years should not be underestimated, and he's only going to get better. So they're saying Garnacho was quiet for large parts of the game against West Ham at the weekend, but exploded into life when it mattered to score 2 goals in the second half. Like all good attacking players, yeah, you might be quiet for a lot of the game, but then you turn up when it's counted. You can't be running around like a lunatic the entire game. Not everyone is Wayne Rooney and Carlos Tevez and, these kinds of players. So West Ham defender Emerson had successfully marked Garnacho out of the game until he fashioned an opening and fired a shot beyond Fabianski. And the goal was his reward for his endeavor, and his second was the icing on the cake in a close to perfect afternoon. So yeah, it looks like Garnacho just he is now the main man in attack. Unbelievably. It's not Marcus Rashford, because you can't rely on him for a good performance. He wasn't good against West Ham. He was okay against Newport, but again, dribbling down blind alleys, just charging forward with 3, opposing jerseys in front of him, and he just it's baffling to me how many times he just runs into brick walls expecting to get through them. I just don't get it. But for me, if anyone's going to get dropped out of Højlund, Garnacho, and Rashford at the moment, has to be Rashford. It's not even a debate. Garnacho cannot be dropped. Højlund is in red hot form and really starting to develop a bond with Mainoo and Garnacho and other players. Rashford is the first name off the team sheet. Unbelievably. Okay, Højlund might have the benefit of there being no other fit strikers at the club, but even if there was, they're undroppable at the moment, as is Garnacho, and I hope we tie him down to a big fat contract as well, because he's only 19, Kobbie Mainoo 18, Højlund 21. There is a very strong nucleus of players there that I think could do very, very well for this club for many years. So fingers crossed. Now on to Paul Mitchell. Now, we've been linked with this guy forever. And for those of you that were living under a rock, Paul Mitchell used to be the kind of head of recruitment, sporting director for Spurs, Southampton. Was he also at Wigan? He may have been. And most recently at Monaco, and has a great eye for a player, very, very highly thought of in the industry. And United are continuing to work behind the scenes to form a strong leadership group, which we've seen. They're the people they've been getting rid of in terms of physios, heads of recruitment. They are just swinging the axe on the old guard that were at United, and no one is safe. And they're just installing, should I say, the best in class people they can in the relevant positions at the top down. These are top down appointments. They're starting at the CEO and working down, and eventually it's going to get into the squad. They're shedding fat from the squad. This is a very considerate, intelligent, mindful process where they're trimming fat from the squad. They've removed the bad eggs from the bloated, off the pitch personnel that they've had, and it's just cutting out tumors, cutting out cancer, cutting away all the unnecessary bits and pieces, stripping it down to its bare essentials, installing improved parts at the top end, and then eventually when the summer kicks around, we're going to see a huge amount of investment. It's going to be a very exciting summer for the club. With so many players already having left either permanently or on loan with an idea for a permanent move. Yeah, the wheels are certainly in motion. And the most important piece now is going to be a head of recruitment, a sporting director that's going to help guide these decisions towards the types of players that we're going to be getting. And it's known that Ineos have already been asking questions of Ten Hag with regards to recruitment on, we should have got Harry Kane. We should have got other players, but, we blow 60 million quid on Mason Mount, a position that wasn't really high priority. We overspend on Højlund when we should have been keeping that money for Kane. We blow 82 million on Anthony when we could have got him for 40 or 50. And even then he would have, there was a Harry Kane going a begging, Ineos are just baffled at some of the decisions that have been made, and rightly so. So United set the tone for a bright future under Ineos earlier this month by hiring Omar Barada as CEO. We've all heard about this. The ex-Man City man now coming in to lead the way for United, and there could be more hires as expected. While Mitchell is currently not in work after leaving his role at Monaco, no switch to United is believed to be imminent. Okay, so according to journalist David Ornstein, when he was interviewed with Five, provided an update on where the Mitchell to United rumours stand. So he does not believe the former Southampton, Tottenham and Leipzig man is Old Trafford bound. My understanding is that this isn't a position that he was particularly seeing himself in the frame for from the beginning, from a long time ago, and made that clear to the Ineos guys. And they were all on the same page. They all know each other. Ineos largely based in the south of France. Paul Mitchell was the sporting director of Monaco. This would have been something which would have been broached a long time ago. I can only go on my information, speaking to people around the industry. It was never something Mitchell was looking to pursue, and Ineos were aware of that. Julian Ward is now coming into the frame. Ornstein added that a name to watch is former Liverpool director Julian Ward, adding that he's very highly regarded. We also remain interested in Newcastle's Dan Ashworth. From what I've heard, that is absolutely the number one priority. They want to get Ashworth from Newcastle, but Newcastle are loath to losing him, especially to someone they would now consider a close rival in terms of getting to the top four and putting on a push for the Premier League title maybe in 2 or 3 years' time. He added that Ineos might end up pulling off a total surprise, a name which has not been mentioned at all. We saw that with Barada, so why not? But it looks like Mitchell to United doesn't look too strong at the moment, and we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But in Ineos, I trust. I've loved what I've seen them do so far, and I look forward to seeing what they're going to do between now and the end of the season and over the summer. So as we know, Raphael Varane had a little bit of a bust up apparently with Ten Hag after having been dropped a few games ago for quote unquote tactical reason. I believe it might have been the Man City game. So Varane has held clear the air talks with United boss Erik Ten Hag following their backroom rift. It's believed the pair have set aside their differences after the Frenchman took umbrage with the fact the boss left him out of the derby. He's also unhappy that Johnny Evans had been selected ahead of him for tactical reasons. And it has happened on multiple occasions this season. But let me tell you, Mr. Varane, you haven't been exactly making yourself undroppable. He's made plenty of mistakes this season. He's had plenty of poor games. His fitness is always an issue. He is clearly the kind of the partner to Lisandro Martinez when he's fit and when they're playing well. But he hasn't been playing particularly well, and he wasn't good against Newport, and he was absolutely at fault for one of their goals. So he was surprisingly omitted from the United 11 for the 3-0 Premier League win over West Ham on Sunday, with Ten Hag explaining before the match that it was a good time to rest the player given his recent exertions. He came on after 71 minutes to pair with Harry Maguire. Sorry, earlier in the episode, I think I thought it was Varane that started. Maguire came on afterwards, but no, it was Maguire who started, and he came on after 71 minutes to pair with Harry Maguire following an injury to Lisandro Martinez. And I'm happy to see Ten Hag make those decisions. You can't just be getting games on sentiment like so many players have for so long at that club. If you don't play well, you're dropped. If you do play well, you stay. And I like that. It's how things should be. You should be incentivized to play well every week. You can't just keep starting games because you're paid a certain amount, or because you got someone of you believe to be an inferior quality sitting on the bench. No. If you don't play well, you get dropped and someone else gets a chance to take your spot. So he's out of contract at the end of the season. United do not want to extend it because it means they're going to have to keep him on 340 grand a week, which they do not want to do. I think they have offered him a new contract on drastically lower wages. I think closer to the kind of 200 grand a week mark. So they are preparing to let Varane depart when his deal expires and in no rush to extend his contract. There were stories earlier that United had been looking to maybe offer him a new contract on lower wages, but they might just be happy to get him off the books and let him join another club for free. They're not going to get much of a transfer fee for him. Maybe they want to get him onto a lower contract and then maybe sell him to Saudi after the summer. Maybe he doesn't want to go to Saudi. I don't know. But he's only made 9 Premier League starts this season. He has scored 1 goal in that famous first game against Wolves when we were so poor. But it looks like they've tried to bury the hatchet now. And but I mean, this idea of burying the hatchet with Ten Hag's the manager. he buries his hatchet in your head if he doesn't want you playing. So maybe Varane has just learned to shut up and accept that these are the decisions that a manager is going to make, especially if you're not playing well. So good to see that you've copped on, Raf. There he is there. So yeah, let's see what happens. But we're going to be relying on him very heavily now that Martinez is out injured. And on that note, relief for Man United. Lisandro Martinez avoids worst-case scenario as Red Devils provide update on knee injury and potential return date after West Ham win. So yeah, there was a lot of very worried people after the match, with many people suspecting that Martinez could have been out until the end of the season. That was certainly something I thought. You know, when you see a player's face when they get an injury, you know they know that this is going to be a bad one. You can see in their face they're just going, oh, fuck. You know, and I think everyone else was feeling that too. But it's not as bad as it first seems. And it goes on to say here that, yeah, United confirmed later on Monday that Martinez would be out for at least 8 weeks. So Goal, obviously we're looking at Goal here, understands what is going on here. Yeah, so Goal understands the defender will not be forced to undergo surgery, which is always a good thing. And Idol, the Argentinian, he's an Argentinian reporter, Gaston Idol, that's his name, and he reported on Martinez's injury. Obviously, with him being an Argentinian, this is big news for Argentinians as well. Not that he's a starter just yet, but will be, I imagine, the next couple of years. Martinez has a sprained collateral ligament, so the worst case scenario has been ruled out. It's between 1.5 months and 2 months. It's going to be 6 to 8 weeks. Obviously, they're not going to want to rush him back as well. So he does not have to have an operation, which is good news. So United have also said their official statement on Monday, yesterday, was Lisandro Martinez has sustained an injury to the medial collateral ligament in his knee and is expected to be out of action for at least 8 weeks. The Argentine defender left the field in the 7th minute of our 3-0 win over West Ham on Sunday. We wish Lisha a speedy recovery and look forward to seeing him back on the pitch later on in the season. So yeah, it's not good, especially when we've missed him for so long, and you can see the impact he's had on the team so soon after having come back, and to lose him so quickly when we're starting to get some momentum, it's just, you know, it's just another page in the chapter of the book that is United's shite season, between injuries and scandals and bad form and bullshit and, you know, takeovers, and it's just, well, it's just been nonstop. So I mean, it's kind of a case of course, Martinez gets injured. Why not just throw that onto the heap of bullshit that we all already have to deal with? But listen, such is life. We need to deal with it. And I'm just hoping that he doesn't become our Ledley King, you know, this great kind of leader type figure that we have in the center of our defense that when playing and when fit is just absolutely stellar, but just has these injury problems. They can't get over it now. Hopefully that's not the case. Fingers crossed, but time will tell. But speedy recovery, Lisha, and we hope to see you back as soon as possible. And they are the headlines for today. So what is everyone's thoughts on the headlines today? Please, your thoughts in the comments section, and also don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Yeah, it looks like United are trying to tie down Kobbie Mainoo now to a new and improved contract beyond what he'd already qualified for with the amount of games he has played in that senior team, and I think everyone would welcome that kid being tied down to a long-term rewarding contract to let him know just how important we think he is, but hopefully not too overinflated, so he starts doing a Marcus Rashford and you know, stops knowing how to play football. But it looks like we've got a great young nucleus of players there between Mainoo, Garnacho, Hoyland, and others that may be coming through. The future looks bright for United. So yeah, it's an exciting time, and United fans have a lot to look forward to, if not for the rest of this season, certainly going into next season, especially after a summer of recruitment that is quite inevitable and going to be quite substantial. Christian Eriksen, how do we feel about letting him leave? I'd hate to see him leave. I think he's been a great servant to the club since he's been here. He had a very impactful performance last season, combining with Casemiro and Bruno. It just seems like maybe the legs are going, but would any of us begrudge him continuing the journey towards the end of his career in somewhere like Turkey? I certainly wouldn't. I'd hate to see the back of him, but I would wish him all the best. So let's see what happens between now and the end of the week. Martinez looks like while he is out for a few weeks, it's not going to be as bad as first feared, and it looks like we're going to have our main main man back in around 6 to 8 weeks. So until then, I'd say it's going to be Johnny Evans, Harry Maguire, Lindelof and Varane trying to find out which pairing is best for whatever game lands at their feet. Garnacho continuing to blossom into one of the most important players in our squad. So yeah, it looks like he'll probably have a contract put in front of him as well, just to let him know how important he is to the club, because no doubt this summer there's going to be a lot of clubs looking to maybe pinch him and distract him from his inevitable future in red. So let's see what happens on that front. As always, thank you very, very much for joining me. Please hit like, hit subscribe, hit that notification button, and I will see you on the next one.